Morning, children. Today we are going to learn about the Pallavas of Kanchi. Pallavas of Kanchi in the year 350 CE to 895 CE. Now, in this lesson, we are going to learn the first king of Wallace of Tamil Nadu. I read out the page number 79. The Pallavas are the first king of Tamil Nadu. They enjoy a specific place among the dynasty which ruled South India. They ruled from 4th century to 9th century CE. So, they ruled for 4th century to 9th century CE. 9 centuries. In the beginning, they were the officials of Shatavahanas. When the Shatavahanas dynasty declined, the Pallavas declared themselves as the kings of their territory. Shivaskanda Varma was the first king of the dynasty. Who was the first king of the dynasty? Is Shivaskanda Varma. The Pallavas and the Kadamas harbored perpetual enmity towards each other. Subsequently, Pulakeshin II of the Chalukyas dynasty defeated Mahendra Varma of the Pallavas dynasty. Narasimha Varma first, who came later, was a famous of the Pallavas king. He took revenge on the Chalukyas by defeating Pulakeshin II and captured Vatapi. Where did he capture? Vatapi. This daring act had won him the title of Mahamalla of Vatapi Konda. So he was given the title of Mahamalla and Vatapi Konda. Hussain Tanzing, who was visited in Kanchi during his region, Narasimha Varma built a city on the sea coast of Kanchi named as Mahabalipuram. Many monolithic temples were built by him. During this region, Aprajita, Pallava, Aditya, and Chola dynasty came to the end of the Pallavas rule. So what you come to know in this lesson is, we are going to learn about the Pallavas of the southern region of the Tamil Nadu, and the famous temples of Tamil Nadu is Kailashnath Temple, Ekambaratna Temple, Vaikunta Perumal Temple, and coastal temple of south of Mahabalipuram. So the Pallavas have been encouraged by that. Then he was given the title. He defeated the Pulakeshin II and captured Vatapi, and he was given as the title of Mahamalla and Vatapi Konda. You have learned in Chalukyas, the title was given to Chalukyas of Pulakeshin II as what? He was gained the title as what? Dakshina Pradeshwara and Peninsula of Lord of Peninsula. So, another title of Narasimha here. When you come to know about the monolithic temples of Mahabalipuram in the southern, I came to know about the Mahabalipuram as a butter rock where we used to climb on that, try to hold the butter rock, and we have to slip on it. We used to slip on it. That is a famous butter rock. It is called in Mahabalipuram of Tamil Nadu. So let us know about the contributions of the Pallavas, about the systematic administration of his art, architecture, literature, and education. So the next point we are going to learn about his contribution of art, literature, architecture, education, and architecture. So what was the contributions of Pallavas during art, literature, education, architecture and religion? The second para, I'm reading it. They introduced systematic administration in Tamil Nadu. Their contributions are significant in literature, religion, art, architecture and education. When the Chalukyas regained in Vatapi and the Pallavas in Kanchi, it was a heroic age in the south. Their kingdom was strong and organized. They were ministers and provincial officials. The kingdom had been divided into Mandala, Nadu, and Grama. Grama Sabha dealt with the problem of the villages. Grama Bojaka looked after the villages' administrations. So, administrative systems of Tamil Nadu in Pallavas time is about, we are going to learn about the religion. The region of Vatapi Kondam, and the king was very strong and organized, and he had council of ministers and provisional regions. What was the council of ministers named as? We come to know in this lesson. Ministers and provisional officers. What was the name? The kingdom has been divided into Mandala. The ministers of Brahma Sabha deal with the thing. That is being divided into Mandala, Nadu, and Grama. Is it not? So, the Grama Sabha is being dealt with the problems of the villages. Grama Bojika look after the administration. So, the two Gram Sabha and another one is Grama Bojika. So, he takes care of what is the dealing with the problems of the villages. And this takes care of the administration. So these are the points will be easy for you to learn for regarding your MCQs, match the following, and also 1 mark questions. So ministers and council of ministers have been appointed and divided into the provinces of named it as Mandala, Nadu and Grama. Grama Sabha takes care of the problems of the villages, and then Grama Bojika takes care of the administrations of the villages. Last line. Next we come to know about the education. Education tells about the literature and also the education of that period of time. The Pallavas encouraged both Sanskrit and Tamil. Kanchi was a center of Sanskrit literature. Bhairavi and Dhandi are the poets of the Pallavas court. King Mahendravarma himself wrote a social drama, Mata Vijayaka and Prashanasana, and the book of Bhagavata Duruchika, and the Pallavas encouraged all religions. So they not only take care of the Sanskrit and Tamil literature also, the famous of the Buddhist scholars of that period of time, and also the literature and things. So Tamil literature was the most prominent at that period of time. Next, the early Pallavas kings were the Buddhists. The great scholar of Nalanda University, Dharmapala, was born in Kanchi. Since Mahendravarma was a follower of Jainism, there were many Jains in the kingdom. This age witnessed the rise of Bhakti movement. It also supported the renaissance of the Vedic religion. Slokas were written in Tamil. These have become the treasure of Tamil literature. So Tamil literature, apart from Sanskrit, we come to know on the south of the Pallavas, the most importance of the Tamil literature. The king of the Jainism and Mahendravarma, follower of Jainism, many Jains temples have been built, and that Bhakti movement as a Vedic religion of that period of time. Slokas were written in Tamil and have become a treasure of the Tamil literature. The Pallavas are lovers of art and architecture. They build the temples in their kingdom, which is a noteworthy of their artistic. The Pallavas literature architecture can be classified into temples that have been carved out of stone and temples with structural pattern. Many temples are carved in rocks, can be seen in Mahabalipuram. Wonderful. That is what I told. No, it is a butter rock. We try to hold the butter rock. It is so steep and slow. It looked like an egg shape. And when we try to climb on it and hold on our hands, but is not able to do, we slip down. So that is a famous butter rock which I have witnessed it, which is a noteworthy of the architecture technique. Okay. Many temples carved in rocks can be seen in Mahabalipuram. Wonderful monolithic sculptures have been carved in these temples. They tell us the stories of Mahabharata and Bhagavata, the Panchatantra, and their famous monolithic temple. The carving of Arjuna's meditations has been emerged in an exemplary work of art. The famous temples of Kailashnath, Ekambaranath, Vaikunta Perumal at Kanchi, and the coastal temples at Mahabalipuram are excellent examples of ancient Indian architecture. The temples became a center of religious, artistic activity. Their rural folk gathered into the courtyard of the temples in the evening and discussed many issues. The people came here during these leisurely hours and either listened to the Puranas and sang devotional songs. In this manner, the temples became a social and educational center. So what you come to know in this chapter, in this last pages, many religious temples are then been built in that period of time, and in the evening they have the natakas, dramas and slokas. By to this, it has become a social gathering to things. All Puranas and devotional songs are being mannered in this thing. So it become not only a social gathering and also an educational centers. The Pallavas has a good naval force, merchants and trade relations with South Asian countries like Malaysia, Indonesia and others. We can be seen the influence of the Indian language, faith, traditions and culture in those countries. So they have a good naval force, Pallavas, and also a trade center, and merchants also business center also very good. They have contacts with other Asian countries of Malaysia and Indonesia and other countries. Due to that, in the Indian language and faith and traditions and culture was more developed in those period of time. So what you come to know in this lesson about the Pallavas and Kanchis, about the literature, architecture, lovers of educations, and main thing of expansion of their kingdom in the south of Tamil Nadu, and the first king of the Sivakanda Samana, or the first king of the dynasty. Now in this lesson, we have already done with the classwork and also given you 1 mark questions and 2 mark questions. I've been sending it. So this lesson has been short notes also be given about Narasimha Varma, and write a note about the famous of Narasimha Varma. He was a famous king of the Pallavas king, and he took revenge on the Chalukyas by defeating the Pulakeshin sector and captured Vatapi. And then during his act, he was given the title of Mahamalla, and he was given the Vatapi Parna. Narasimha built many cities. He built a city called Mahabalipuram, and many monolithic temples were built by him. This is a short note you are writing about Narasimha Varma. So then what are the famous temples of the Pallavas? Kailashnath, Ekambaranath, and Vaikunta Perumal, and south coastal temples of Mahabalipuram. Which are the Chalukyas temples available in India? That is Aholi, Pattarakalu and Badami. Who captured Vatapi? Narasimha Varma, first of Pallavas, captured Vatapi and assumed the title as Vatapi Parna. So like this you can make from these points of the MCQs and also 1 mark questions. So as long as we complete all the lessons, in the end we will come to know about the overall questions, and also when in the revisions I will give you what all the questions, what all the mains of the lessons. Now in this lesson we have completed all the classworks. I hope all are given the corrections also. Now, next lesson is about, we are going to learn about the 11th lesson of next classes. And I have been sending to you today the classworks of biosphere, and all the question answers are there and biosphere of this, and try to send it for corrections. Now, lesson wise, how you do the preparations of the lesson wise? As per the textbook, take a textbook on this. First, read out the lesson, mark down the important heading points of the 1 mark questions. That only you take those headings as for MCQs and also NASA following. So that lesson, that classwork itself, you have to pick out 1 mark questions, 2 mark questions, or 3 mark questions, if any. So lesson wise complete all the mains, and this overall completing together to all the lessons and all the mains together will be very difficult for you, is it not? So the easiest method is to, in this lesson we have completed today 10th lesson. So 10th lesson you pick out MCQs, Mazda following, and also 1 mark questions, make it in a rough and start preparing all the question answers. So we'll come to know about the overall brief of the lesson, that who ruled the Chalukyas and the children. Chalukyas ruled the Chalukyas in the Middle East of 6th century to 8th century days. Pulakeshin II is the first most powerful, trustworthy person of Badami or Seleucus of Chalukyas. Pulakeshin's brother, he earned the title of Dakshina Pradeshwara, point number 1. It is given the title of Peninsula of Lord of Peninsula, that is 1 mark question, or you can keep as a following, or you can keep for MCQs. Pulakeshin's second elder brother, Kubja Vashavadana, is given the provincial head of Vengi, point number 2. Pulakeshin Singh is an optimistic emperor. He had friendly relations with the foreign affairs and the kings too. He had also given traditions of Chalukyas, of Shaikas, Vaishyas, and also the Jains. Then many monolithic temples were built on that Buddhist viharas on that period of time. Chalukyas of Badami patronized on literature, Kannada state language, and Kannada developed very well in this period of time. Sanskrit scholars of this time of Ravi Kirti, Vijika, and Aklanka. So these you can see in the book of the previous page of being developed on these days, and Chalukyas are developed in architecture of that period of times. Then the best temples of Chalukyas are Ahali and Pattadakkallu. Next, come about the Pallavas. The Pallavas are the first king of Tamil Nadu in the century of 4th century and 9th century. Shivakanda Sarma was the first king of this dynasty. Mahabalipuram was built by Narasimha Varma. Many monolithic temples were built by him. The Pallavas encouraged both Sanskrit and Tamil language. Kanchi was the center of the Sanskrit literature. They had a naval force with a good naval force, merchants and trade relationship with the South Asian countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, and others. Now let us go with the exercises. How did Pulakeshin II extended his empire? So overpowering with the Gangas and Kadamas and Alupas, he extended his empire. Then his brother Kubja Vishnuvardhana took the provinces of Bengal. Jayasimha was given the head of the Gujarat province. By this he ruled all of his kingdom. But he could not rule the whole of his kingdom. That is the main point you can write about him. Describe the administrative systems of the Chalukyas. What has happened? We have divided into 2 sakas, or the Vaishyavas and Vaishadipati. Then a small unit of village administration was taken care. Village leaders were taken care of the village accounts. So you can write your own points from the lesson also. The Chalukyas were lovers of literature, explained with examples. They are the lovers of, they had a three-party form of a poem, and then it came into existence. Many inscriptions of Kannada came into existence. Poems were be given in three-party form. Sanskrit scholars were be given what are the poets, what are their books, who wrote which books, all that you can write in this answer. Name the Pallavas king who ruled from the Kanchis. Over the place, Shivakanda Varma, Mahendra Varma, and Narasimha Varma I and Aparija Pallavas were the king of the Kanchis. How did the Pallavas increase Sanskrit and Tamil? How did they increase Sanskrit and Tamil? Kanchi was the center of the Sanskrit literature. Bhairavi and Dandi were the poets of the Pallavas thing. Slokas were written in Tamil. So the last question I have given is, write a short note about the Narasimha Varma. How did you write? Narasimha Varma was a famous king. Then he was ruled in the Pallavas. He took revenge of the Chalukyas by defeating the Pallavas, and he captured Vatapi. Due to that, he was given the title of Vatapi Konda of Mahamalla of Vatapikonda. Then Narasimhavarma built a city called Mahabalipuram in the south. Many monolithic temples were built in this period, built by him. So you can write your own points, get known as a summary of a person, or write about Narasimhavarma or any paragraph from the textbook. So first go through with the textbook, mark it out as an essay type or a paragraph type, and think out the points on you, recollect it, and then you can write the answers of your own. Fill in the blanks is already given. Let us go on to with the 1 mark questions. I'll be sending in PDF the 1 mark questions of all the lessons together. And one on every Monday, you have to give a classwork correction. Who is the head of the province of Vengi? Pulakeshin's second younger brother, Kubja Vishnuvardhana. What was the title given to Pulakeshin's second? Dakshina Prateshwara and the Lord of Peninsula for his daring act. Name the Sanskrit slokas of Chalukyas, Ravikirti, Vijika, Aklanka. What are the famous temples of Pallavas? Kailashnath Temple, Ekambratna Temple, Vaikuntha Perumal Temple, and coastal temples of Mahabalipuram. Full answer you to be written in the test. Which are the Chalukyas temples available in India? The Chalukyas temple available in India are Ahali, Pattadakalu, and Badami. Who captured Vatapi? Narasimhavarma, first a Pallava ruler, captured Vatapi and assumed the title as Vatapi Konda. Who are the famous poets of the Pallavas court? Bhairavi, the author is given as Kitra Ranjunja, and Dhandi, the author of Dakshinakuma Charitra. So in this lesson, you have already given the 1 mark questions of Chalukyas of Badami. You can write in this in your classwork, or you can continue to in your rough note. So what is coming in this main, what all you are going to cover up in this lesson is the fill in the blanks, match the following, MCQs, and question answers. Most of the question answers are about 1 mark questions and 2 mark questions. Separate 1 mark questions of lesson wise. By lesson wise, I will complete the 1 mark questions. You can enter in your classwork. Then short notes. So you are completing in this lesson. Preparation should be completed by at the time of this lesson, by before the next class I start on to the lesson number 11. You have to finish your studying of short notes, MCQs, match the following, fill in the blanks, 1 mark questions and 2 mark questions. So in this lesson, I don't find any 3 mark question. Is it not? Let me check. Describe the administrations of Chalukyas. 1 mark question, short notes. Yes. So 3 mark questions overall I'll give in the revision. and the end of after completing all the lessons and portions and pattern and revisions will be given in the end. So let us go on with the next lesson of the Rashtrakundas of Chalukyas of Kalyan of lesson number 11. And in this lesson, we have a map also for the test. Yes. So overall, we come to know of Chalukyas of Badami, the expansion of the empire under the Pulakeshi II, religious and social, military and judicial systems. They extended how he expanded his empire with the help of the map, and the Pallavas of Kanchi, the literature, religious art and architecture, and the field of education. So overall, we come to know about the contributions of Chalukyas and the contributions of Pallavas in the south, and how was the written of a tripartite form, and then the poems and all the poetess with along with the authors and the famous temples of both the Chalukyas and Badami. So we have come to know about the short note of Narasimha Varma and also the Pulakeshi II of how he defeated his army, how he was a faithful and he was an optimistic life, living a emperor, and he was have a friendly relationship with foreign affairs. All the contributions of the Pulakeshi, how he expanded his empire. So most of the points which is given in the lesson you can find in your classwork also, the points of the thing, and you can read out from your classwork, and also the same points which is coming in the lesson also will be, from these itself you can take it out your plan for your MCQs and as the following, and also your 1 mark questions. So have a good day. Thank you.